And now for something on what the hell were they thinking? So there's this article I found today on Market Watch about someone who wants to get married and has an astronomical amount of debt for an underwhelming amount of education. Now, I realize that everything has spiraled out of control in terms of the cost, but I'm not that much older than this person, and I find $380,000 in student loans from two master's degrees to be absolutely astronomically exorbitant. Where the hell did they go? And what are those degrees in? Now, this article doesn't say what they're in. It just says their partner doesn't want to marry them. They are 35 and they have two master's degrees and $380,000 in student loan debt. How the hell did they do that? Now, there's more down here. This is important. This is a woman because they have one kid and another on the way. Actually, that's not necessarily true. That doesn't mean that it's not the other person. And then I can't afford to have the loans forgiven because I think it's a taxable event. Now, I'm not sure what that means, but here is the real point of this is you're 35. By 35, you should be, unless you went to medical school, which is technically a master's degree if you want to, strain at gnats, you should have some significant earning potential and you should be, making a living by 35 because that gives you 30 years to be 65 in which to earn a living. But they got two master's degrees, not a PhD. I don't know what they're in. It doesn't say. The point is this is a lot of money in student loan debt. That's $160,000 for each degree, assuming they're four-year degrees, which is a long time for a master's degree. That's $40,000 a year in tuition. Now, I can imagine where they might have gone. That's probably the tuition rate for a degree from Harvard. But unless you're going to go get a degree that has the earning potential to cover the cost, you shouldn't be going to get that degree. So this partner is more than justified because this shows that they don't know how to make good financial decisions. Now, that's not what the advice is in this article. The article is about, what to do about it. But really, this is a huge red flag. And two master's degrees. Now, I don't have a steady income. So you probably got a master's degree in something that doesn't hire well or in a field that's oversaturated. Good job. You've got two kids. Kids cost a lot of money. Now, the kids actually will cost a lot less than the student loan debt, but yeah, I'd be afraid to marry you too. In fact, at this point, it's actually a red flag if a woman is educated and has her own house, fancy car, because the question then is not that you own them, but how much do you owe on them? Because if you try to buy a house now, um, my house and the house next door are basically the same house. The one next door is slightly fancier from a remodel, and it has a pool in the back, but it doesn't have any didn't have any landscaping, and it didn't have any features that mine doesn't have. What they also don't know is that it had squatters and a drug den in it for a while. I don't know if that was disclosed, and the pool apparently leaks and doesn't work. So caveat emptor. But these people paid almost four times for that house what I paid for mine. So the cost of things is exorbitant. But this is a 35-year-old. So college shouldn't have been that much more expensive for them as it was for me, as it is for people who are currently 20. But two master's degrees, don't have a steady income, a ton of debt, and two kids. These are all liabilities. Lots of student loan debt, regardless of your education. If your education doesn't get you a steady income, it's not worth the debt. You have two reverse annuities in terms of kids. Do you own a house? Like, how much is this going to cost? And especially if these kids, because it doesn't say, are not from the partner. Why would anyone in their right mind want to take that on? And why would anyone reasonably expect this person to take on that responsibility? Yeah, I don't know. And it's all about them. Now, it's afraid as my friend is afraid to marry me, but it's, I'm on the income program. I am worried, not about the partner. My partner's worried. What can I do to lessen the risk for my partner? What can I do to show my partner that I'm a better pick? Because at this point, given how much stuff costs, if you don't know how to manage money and manage your own household now, why would you be expected to manage one after marriage? Marriage is not an event. Marriage is a change in your lifestyle. And after that, there are obligations and responsibilities. And this person already has a significant number of responsibilities and obligations, someone on the way. Again, I don't know. They've been very clever not to tell you if it's a male or a female. They didn't tell you what the degree is, but this is an exorbitant amount of student loans. Again, like I said, if you're assuming that they're 4-year programs, that's $40,000 a year in tuition. If they're less than 4-year programs, they paid far too much. Now, I realize that I don't have a very glamorous career and a glamorous office and all of that, and I don't have a ton of money, relatively speaking, to other things I could have done, but I did manage to get through grad school with no debt. I have yet to marry a woman or date a woman who had no student loan debt. Ever. Never, ever, ever. One that I thought didn't. Her parents intended to pass it on to her when she got married. What a raw after the fact bait and switch that would be. At least this time it's up. They can go in eyes wide open to the real risks. So this is one of my bugaboos, is people who are bad with money, who incur debt that they have no hope of paying off, and who then expect other people to accept them as they are. That I can accept you without marrying you. I can accept you without taking on the financial obligation. What they really mean is they want someone to make it easy for them. They want someone to pay for their bad mistakes. And I can't say I blame this partner because, if this person wasn't involved in the decisions to make to get that debt, why should they be responsible to pay it off? The other reason this really hits close to home and why this bothers me is because last time I saw my ex-wife, she took me back to court on the claim that I had somehow, for some reason, agreed to pay for her student loan debt for 2 master's degrees that she got after we were divorced. Who the hell would have agreed to that? And the judge ordered me to pay her. Not what she wanted. I think she owned 65 grand. That's not what she got, but they did order me to pay her. And I'm still pissed about that because how does that make sense? Who in their right mind would agree? Oh, and she didn't have to prove it either. So at this point, if you've got debt and you're old and you have an education that doesn't get you a steady income and you have kids, yeah, no thanks. Hard pass. And good luck with that. The reason it's a Friday rant is because they're going to expect me to pay anyway and shame me into it because that's what a good man does. No, a good man pays his own debts. Now, I've loaned money to men and women in my life, and I can count on one finger the number of women who have borrowed money from me and paid it back, and I can count on one finger the number of men who have borrowed from me who did not pay it back. And that one only borrowed money from me about 9 months ago. So we'll see. And if that's the case, then every man has ever paid me back because that's what a real man does. Again, we don't know the gender of the people. Maybe that's a good thing. But this is irresponsible and it's a red flag. And this partner should be afraid, should be very afraid. Anyway, make good decisions, spend your money wisely. You have to work very hard for it. Now, you can always make more money, but you can't go back and spend it better. So be wise. What can I say more?